name is David Biedrzycki. I'm a children's book author and illustrator, and I like to consider myself being an authorator, where you're 50% author, 50% illustrator. I mainly do picture books, write and illustrate picture books. They are fictional books. I have done nonfiction books with another author named Jerry Pallotta, but these days I just write and illustrate my own stories. Wow, that's a great question. What's my process? It varies. It varies on how I get my idea. Usually, when I get an idea for a story, I start with sketches. That's basically the way that I visualize how I want the story to go. I'm a very visual person, so when I start drawing pictures, I start to understand my story a lot better. Then I start to add words to it. And lately, what I've been doing is I've been taking my words and my sketches, and I've been putting them into iMovie. And then I go and I have a subscription to a royalty-free music app. So what I do is as I'm starting to build a story, I grab some music and I put it in with my artwork and my words, and I start to develop the story from there. And it's a great way for me to it's almost like creating a movie where you're actually, seeing the visuals, you're also seeing, the dialogue, the words, but you're also getting a feeling for what the movie is about or the story is about by the music. And I find this to be very, very helpful. So that is the way these days that I've been, creating my stories. I was kind of like looking around on Pinterest one day, and I started looking at pictures of Norman Rockwell. Norman Rockwell is a very famous American painter, and he had this one painting where he was doing a self-portrait of himself, and you could actually see him from the back, and he's got a mirror in front of him, but he's actually doing, painting his portrait. And I looked at that, and I started I drew a robot in the same position that he was, kind of looking at a canvas and maybe starting to do a self-portrait of himself. But then I changed it to him actually following along with somebody you might know, Bob Ross. And when I started drawing the picture together, it came together kind of nice. I like the lighting on it. I like the feeling of it. I like this robot working, diligently to try to capture whatever Bob Ross was, painting in front of him. And I looked at it and I said, what, this needs a story. So I put it aside for a while, like I do with most of my ideas. And then eventually I started putting an idea and pictures together of a robot who eventually becomes an artist. And that's how that idea happened. I started working on this story a couple of years, actually probably about four years ago. I started working on it when artificial intelligence wasn't so much in the public eye as it is now. And it was just a unique story about, a robot who finds out that he's just not made to work in a warehouse. He's meant for bigger and better things. And I think of that of a lot of people. Maybe they're not meant to be doing what they're doing, or maybe they haven't found their true calling in life. And that's what this story is about. It's about this robot who he's just messing up a lot at the warehouse, but then he finds himself outside one day, and as he's walking around, he walks into a museum. And the pictures in the museum speak to his heart. And that's when he realizes that, he wants to become an artist. There's a part of the book where he gets frustrated because he's trying to follow along with kind of like Bob Ross, painting like happy little trees and valleys and clouds and stuff like that. And he gets really frustrated. And he starts kicking cans of paint around so they splatter all over his canvas and all over the wall. And putting that particular picture together was a lot of fun because it was almost just like, bringing out the Jackson Pollock in me, where I was just splattering, digital paint all over the place and smushing it and moving around with different tools in my, on my iPad, and just having a lot of fun. That was probably the most fun I had doing it. The part that I struggled with the most was drawing the robot in certain positions. I needed a model to look at to see the way that the light, would lay on a certain surface, the way that the arms would look in certain positions. And what I did is I commissioned a student. She goes to school at a college out in Ohio, and she does 3D design. So she basically took these sketches that I did of my robot and put them into a CAD CAM type of thing where she sent it back to me and I could move the robot around in certain positions. And that made it a lot more easier for me to draw my pictures and see the way that the light would be, shining on the robot and the shadows and so on and so forth that was created. I basically looked at it as almost like a life drawing, having the picture in front of me and just kind of sketching it out. So that was something that really helped, but I also struggled with it too. I would say have a passion for what you do, because I think working on a story, especially, the past couple ones I've worked on where you have Invasion of the Unicorns, Sumo Kitty, Artificial Intelligence, Bear Alert, Sumo Puppy, all these books have a certain idea that I really want to share with people. I have a passion for sharing the idea, and that's what keeps me going. Sometimes I get, kind of frustrated. Sometimes I look at it and say, oh man, this thing's not amounting to anything. But it's just finding the way to put it together into a book is a real challenge. But that is something that I think you have to have passion for, and that's something that you have to believe in yourself that you could do. You just have to find the right way to do it. Well, I'm very, very fortunate because most of my books are available in school libraries, and I visit schools all over the country and all over the world. The nice thing about it is that schools and librarians and students are very familiar with my books because they're in the library. But I feel one of the best things that I do as far as an outreach is to do school visits and show students how I take my ideas, create stories off of them, and the technology that I use to create my artwork. Because I do all of my artwork using either an iPad or a computer. I could take my iPad with me wherever I go. I could take it like all over the country. I've drawn pictures in hotel rooms. I've drawn pictures for my books actually in airplanes. So it's a very, very portable medium. And that's something that it has really helped me. Technology has really helped me create my books. Well, I just signed contracts, 2 contracts with Charles Bridge for 2 books. One of them is called The Last Leaf, and it's a story about a girl who is she's probably in 2nd grade. She's a soccer player, and she's really, really hard on herself. She keeps trying and trying and trying, and she's inspired in the fall by a leaf on a tree that will not fall down. It's just the whole tree is bare except for this one little leaf, and she finds inspiration in this leaf that won't fall from the tree, even through the winter. In the fall, the winter, and into the spring, it still is clinging on, and she gets inspiration from that. That's what that story is about. And another one is called Just Add Water. I don't know when you were younger if you ever had those little pellets that you put into water and all of a sudden they expand into dinosaurs and sharks and whatever. Well, this is a story about this girl who goes to the beach with a bag of them that she got from her grandma. But it says for bathtub use only, but she puts them into a little bucket. The bucket gets knocked over by the waves, and then all of a sudden all these little things start floating out into the ocean and getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what the story is about.